Welcome to Sinister Heroes. I'm your host, Danny Iniquitous. Thank you for tuning in. Today's episode, we are going to be talking about Path of the Beast Barbarian, which is not something I normally do because I have certain things with barbarians that I'll get into in a moment. But please, if you like what we do here, like, share, subscribe. It's been great. We've been growing a lot, especially over the last month, and it's awesome. It's so great. Please comment, talk to us. We'd love to hear what you want us to do, what do you want us to cover, and maybe we can give some new insights you might not have seen before. So here we go, right into the video. The Barbarian class as a whole isn't particularly my favorite. I always compare it to the fighter, which you really shouldn't do. The fighter just seems to have a different kit to it, and it's more about discipline and focus, where the Barbarian is more about the passion in the moment, and that rage is really indicative of that. Like, you don't have to be an insane person when you're playing a Barbarian. In fact, I think barbarians that are slightly more intelligent, or at least know battle tactics well enough to not just constantly rush in, are the most influential barbarians that you can have and are the best representation of it. When you think about barbarians, right off the bat, you think about Conan. If you really want to gravitate towards that, it works. But in all of the Conan films and in the comics, yes, Conan uses his rage and jumps in and just swings a giant axe and just goes for it. But he's also very smart about how he does things. Out of combat scenarios, he's rather reserved and very, very observant of what's around him, and takes time to come up with an idea and a plan and tries to be smart about things. I think that really gets lost upon most people that play barbarians, because everyone that plays a barbarian is basically looking for that moment where they hear something and they kick a door in and start swinging. And yeah, that's great, and that's a lot of fun, and it does give you this availability to be confident because you have a good cushion to mitigate risk because of rage, because it gives you resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing damage. You can go into a fight head on and not be so sure if someone's going to back you up or not, and still be able to survive that because of that and your big HP. So it's important to try and balance those things and create someone that's not just the Incredible Hulk, because no one wants to bring the Hulk around every moment of every day. You know, you need that balance to keep your rages more impactful from an RP standpoint and just from an in-game standpoint, because you can't use it all the time. You have to really pick and choose, and when you don't have the rages out, you're a very different character. And reflecting that is important, because if you just act the same way, you're going to end up putting yourself in a lot of dangerous situations, and your party might end up paying the price for that. And that's something you want to avoid, because you're not insane. You're a class that's built around rage and anger and combat, but it's not the only thing your character is. You are a member of a group. You are part of something. You came from somewhere. You might need to uphold those policies or belief systems, or at least take care of your fellow party members. And to do that, you got to practice a little bit of reserve and understanding. And I just don't want you to fall into that trap, because it really pigeonholes you into who you can be and limits to who your character can be and how they can grow and evolve through the story. So choosing the Path of the Beast Barbarian gives you an option of choosing your background or how you got incorporated with this bestial entity that's within you. One of the suggestions is that one of your parents was a lycanthrope. I'm thinking about doing this particularly because I happen to be playing a character now that has lycanthropy, so maybe I might incorporate that when I do finally play this character, which is, I don't know. But it works well for me personally, but it's a great way to put some sort of character class, your character in a situation that might bring a good story hook for your DM, or a good background to help round out your character in a unique way. So definitely go through those. I'm not really going to list them here, but there's a lot of cool things that you might want to incorporate. At level 3, you gain access to Form of the Beast. This interacts with your rage. These abilities do not exist unless you are actually in rage. So, when you go into your rage, you manifest a natural weapon. This natural weapon can come in one of 3 choices that you'll be able to make. It is a simple weapon, it uses your strength for its attack roll and its damage roll. So this works with the bonus damage you gain from rage. Now, you can change this every time you enter a rage. You cannot change it once you've entered your rage. So, first choice you get is Bite. Your mouth transforms into a bestial muzzle or great mandibles. It deals 1d8 piercing damage on a hit. Once on each of your turns, when you damage a creature with the bite, you regain a number of hit points equal to your proficiency bonus, provided you are at less than half of your hit points when you make the attack. This is a great way to mitigate damage even further. If you hit half HP, maybe you're a little concerned about what's going on. Gauge how far you are into a fight or where you are in a fight. If you're fighting a big bad and you're going in with low HP, this is a great way to keep that damage from going too far. It's just a little bit every round, but with your resistances and your big HP dice, you can really make some mileage out of this. So as a defensive tactic, it works. It works really well. The second choice you can make is claws. Now this is my favorite, and I'm probably going to do this, and I'll explain why. Each of your hands transforms into a claw, which you can use as a weapon if it's empty. It deals 1d6 slashing damage on a hit. Once on each of your turns, when you attack with the claw using the attack action, you can make one additional claw attack as part of the same action. Now, this is really your damage option, so a lot of people are definitely going to flock to this if that's what you want. So understand how this works. It's 1d6 plus your modifier for strength, plus you're already in rage, so you get that bonus rage damage. So once you gain extra attack, this gives you the availability to attack 3 times per turn if you just use the claw. Well, you can really use the claw attack twice and then attack with something else. Depending on how you want to build your character or what thematic design impress you or left that in vision of what your character wanted, this is great if you wanted to play like Wolverine, like if you wanted claws to go in there and start attacking, though it gives more of a Sabretooth kind of a vibe if you're into Marvel. But it's very cool because it gives you this opportunity to kind of just jump in there and just start tearing. I think it's great. It's what I like. I feel very good about it. The D6 die might turn people off in comparison to some other things. Maybe they wanted to swing like a two-handed axe and then dropped it to one hand and like claw twice or whatever and try and make up damage that way. But understand your damage here, if say you have 5 as your strength modifier, that's 15 guaranteed damage if you hit on all 3 of them. So, like, your damage is there. It might not seem that way, and everybody just wants to add bigger dice and bigger dice and bigger dice, but your damage will be there. It gives you a very cool ability. If you somehow manage to snag something that might up your damage or increase your... or maybe the enemy's not prone or something, this is a great way to deal a colossal amount of damage if you can get advantage on your attacks to guarantee these hits. So, I like it. Ideally, this is what I'm going to build towards, because I might be probably sword and board beforehand, but I feel like it's a great way to just throw everything, throw caution to the wind and just go in full insane beast mode and do this. I like it. I think it's thematic. Your third option is tail. You grow a lashing spiny tail, which deals 1d8 piercing damage on hit and has the reach property. If a creature you can see within 10 feet of you hits you with an attack roll, you can use your reaction to swipe your tail, roll a d8, and apply a bonus to your AC equal to the number rolled. You can potentially cause an attack to miss you because of this. Again, it's a great defensive bonus. If you're going in full HP into a fight and wanted to use rage then, a lot of the tactical people, those optimizers, will probably go tail because it helps mitigate your damage and the amount of times you can get hit. Rolling a d8 can provide a big bonus to your AC, but it only happens for one attack. So really you want to play with that and base it on who's attacking you, whether it's worth it to dodge it or not, or to use this application. That being said, you get two really good defensive options. One of them is to be used when you have full HP, one when you're half, and it helps do kind of the same thing and keep your survivability up. If you're really in a situation where you're worried about surviving and you really want to just be able to endure whatever happens, right off the bat, you get this at level 3, and you get the resistances from rage anyway. So you're really comfortable up front fighting a whole bunch of people because of those resistances and because you have these other options that might benefit you. If you're worried about surviving, go tail, go bite. If you're in there just to be crazy, go claws, and either way, you're going to have fun because you can change this every rage. Remember to incorporate that because you want to try these things. You're going to be raging all the time. You're going to rage every chance you get. Try and take advantage of it. Play it. Maybe there's one in here that you didn't think was as appealing, but once you tried it, you're like, wow, that was really incredible, and I'm definitely going to pick this one more often. Or maybe you want to stick to one and make that specifically who your character is. At 6th level, you gain access to Bestial Soul. This is really very interesting as what it gives you. It first and foremost makes your natural weapons that you gain from Form of the Beast into magical, so they overcome resistance and immunity to non-magical attacks and damage, which is great. You definitely need to have that. If you don't have a magic weapon already at this point, you're really going to need one in order to kind of do the damage you want to do. And considering all you do is attack, overcoming those resistances is very important to you. So, besides that, you get something that I think is pretty cool. You can alter your form to adapt to the surroundings that you are in. When you finish a short or long rest, choose one of the following benefits which lasts until you finish a short or long rest. 1, you get swimming speed equal to your walking speed, and you can breathe underwater. Water doesn't really come up that often. I wish it did. If you're on a boat or something, this is very cool. If you're playing like a seafaring adventure, or if there's a DM that's like creative enough and put something underwater, this is cool because this might greatly help you. It's a big asset, especially being able to breathe underwater whenever you encounter any kind of water scenario. The second option you get is you gain a climbing speed equal to your walking speed, and you can climb difficult surfaces including upside down on ceilings without needing to make an ability check. I'm playing a Dhampir right now, and when I'm on the roof or I'm on the walls or something, because I have their spider climb ability, let me tell you, it's not only is it cool because it's weird as hell, but it's great when you're positioning. If you're fighting, like we just fought a dragon, and I was standing on the ceiling and against the wall, against the actual wall, like 15 feet in the air. So the rest of my teammates kind of had to be on the ground, so the room really wasn't that big, so they were kind of stuck together. But if had the dragon focus its breath purely on me, it would only hit me and not the rest of the party. So you can tactically do things where it requires people to focus in a weird way. It gives you great maneuverability, and it gives you a couple of different options you wouldn't normally see. As a beast barbarian, this is what I would take. I would have it on constantly. I would always be clawing the ceilings and stuff like that. And if I built my character the way I wanted to, where I focus mainly on having claws, just having those like deep nails and just like, you know, climbing my way through would be very cool. It would be very thematic to me because we can set up combat scenarios like that. Like, especially if we see them early on, I could just pounce in from the ceiling and then everyone else can just attack from range, and that's cool. That feels great. You know, it feels incorporated into that. I think it's awesome. The third option you get is when you jump, you can make a strength check or an athletics check to extend your jump by a number of feet equal to the check's total. You can make this special check only once per turn. When you need to jump, it's not going to be often. You won't be doing this every turn or multiple times a turn. You'll basically be doing once, but you get to roll a d20 and add your strength modifier. And if you're proficient in athletics, that's a big bonus. Like, you're going to be able to jump really far. Depending on the scenario that you're in that you might need to do that, that's a very cool way to cover a lot of ground, to jump something. Maybe you need to climb up onto a ledge. Maybe you can make it. Maybe you're a hero in a second that you normally wouldn't be able to do so. But it's hard to guess when that scenario comes up. But hey, if you're not really climbing walls and you're not swimming, might as well jump up really far. You know, see what it can do and try to incorporate that into who your character is and what they're doing, and or or why you would want to do it, and use it often. Use it, play with it, see if it works, see if it doesn't. It's one of those things where if you never use it, it's pointless, but you might get some fun out of it, especially if you need to make something cool happen. At level 10, you gain access to Infectious Fury. This is actually pretty cool. So when you hit a creature with your natural weapons while you are raging, the beast within you can curse your target with rabid fury. The target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw based on your constitution modifier, so that's your spell save DC, or suffer one of the following effects which you choose. The target must use a reaction and make a melee attack against another creature of your choice that you can see, which is great if you're fighting enemies that are very close knit together and you attack like a stronger one or someone that's maybe using a two-handed weapon. Or you can choose for the target to take 2d12 psychic damage. Now, psychic damage is very rarely resisted and it's a very strong damage type. An extra 2d12 damage onto your damage at this point is going to be very, very big. So it's a huge boost. Definitely try to use it. And at this point, your proficiency bonus is pretty high. So because you can use this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, that's a pretty good amount, especially at level 10. And you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest, which is alongside your rages, which you only get back at your long rest. So if you're fighting the big bad and you haven't used this yet, dump all of them and just do whatever choice you want, and it's gonna feel cool. Especially, like, I like the idea of using the bite attack and then causing this to happen, which I think is just fun because I think it's thematic, because I feel like, you know, whatever disease it is that has given you, or whatever curse that you have that has caused this, it's in your blood, and now you're forcing it into them. It's cool. It's great. I think it's fun. I like the thematic idea that it's psychic damage, because it's incorporating like how if you had rabies, how it affects your mind, and that really works, and that really makes it feel very lycanthropic to me, which fits along the path that I would play if I was playing this character. At 14th level, you gain access to Call of the Hunt. The ability text is described as: the beast within you grows so powerful that you can spread its ferocity to others and gain resilience from them joining your hunt. When you enter a rage, you can choose a number of willing creatures you can see within 30 feet of you, equal to your constitution modifier. So at 14th level, you gotta imagine as basically someone who's always up in front. Your con should be pretty high. You gain 5 temporary hit points for each creature that accepts this feature. Until the rage ends, those creatures can use the following benefit once on each of their turns. When a creature hits with attack, it can roll a d6 and add that d6 as a bonus to the damage. You can use this number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. This doesn't depict how long they have this ability for, but it also doesn't depict that this attack has to be a weapon attack. It has to be an attack roll, so there's spell attack rolls that this can work towards. So it definitely amps up the damage of basically everyone. So it's great. It gives your party this awesome extra damage boost, which is great. And it gives you temporary HP. Now understand that the temporary HP happens after your resistance to damage, so this can be a little bit bigger of a cushion than you might normally think of. It will help, and there's no reason not to use this. There's no reason to not take this ability. This is a great thing for your team. What's really important about the Call of the Hunt is what it means for you being that barbarian that calls this. Because it puts you in this, like, it's a leadership ability. When animals would go into the wild, the alphas would roar, or the leaders would roar out or do something that would cause the other people to rally behind them. I call them people, though I literally just call them animals. So what's important is how this affects your dynamic within the party. As a barbarian, for some reason, they carry a lot of weight in a party. They're very aggressive, and that confidence that comes with that, and their rush to action really puts them in an important position within party dynamics. It's just kind of how it works if you play really close to what a barbarian is. So when you call the hunt, it's this empowering moment for your character and for the party behind them. It's a rallying moment. So just really feel free to like start really incorporate that. Like, I like the idea of growing into a leadership role in a group, and Call of the Hunt is one of those things that really reinforces that, and it kind of makes your character a defining leader. It feels that way. It's a wide bonus. That range is huge, though you'll probably use this when you're in 10 feet of somebody, unless you're already in combat, in which that range is really a necessity. I think it's great. I like it surprisingly well for an ability. I like that it has a lot of roleplay elements that are kind of subtly hinted in it, and I think it's just a cool ability. It's just a flat-out bonus to everyone. How could you really turn that down? So my final thoughts. The Barbarian as its kit is designed, the base Barbarian, really doesn't appeal to me. The availability that this subclass gives you to be able to make 3 attacks per turn really puts you up to a point where you're really significantly more comparable to the fighter, and really kind of might even outpace them a little bit. I think this particular subclass, though the whole class is definitively combat oriented, I think this one really puts a lot of elements to your character that you can really draw from and really create like an interesting character from it. I think it gives you a good setup when you initially take the subclass. I think the way some of the subtle abilities grow from there kind of reflects on who your character is, and I like that aspect. I'm intending to play this subclass, so when I get the opportunity, maybe I'll let you know what I think about it. Maybe it'll turn my opinion of the Barbarian as a whole and really make it something cooler, or really turn me from not liking it into being a fanatic behind it, which usually happens when I like something. Give it a shot. If you guys are Barbarian people and really tell me why they are so great, I would love to hear it, because I don't know. I just don't get it. But if you've watched the video so far, like, share, subscribe. I really appreciate it. And thanks for giving a spooky kid a chance.